Good morning, everyone, or as we say in Scotland, good morning, everyone. That's my only one joke, but I love it. So I'm here today. M&S is a big business, a big global business too, but I'm particularly going to talk about M&S food, but there are lots of stories we could tell about the entire organization. But first of all, I just wanted to start with something that a brilliant ad guy called Dave Trott said to me. And Dave Trott said to me, and by the way, I've read all of his books twice, and if you haven't read them all, I suggest you do because they are just freaking brilliant. And he said to me, Sharry, 87% of all marketing is totally ignored. 87%. I'm like, that's a really high number. And I don't know about anybody else here, but I don't have the budgets to be in the 87% that's ignored. So I've got to make sure that I'm in the 13% that doesn't get ignored. And, you know, as I often say to my team, nobody but nobody is sat at home or at work right now saying, do you know what, I was going to go out on Friday night, I was going to go down the pub with all my mates, but I think I'm going to stay home just in case there's any new TV ads come on the TV on Friday. You know, so it just makes our job all the harder to make sure that all of our marketing is really cutting through. So I'm just going to talk about some of the rules that we live by, and I said particularly focusing on the M&S food business. Now, the first thing that we always say in the team is that we want to make sure that everything that we say is compelling, engaging, but most importantly, unique. And the unique part is the most important because so much of what we see and so much of the communications that end up in the 87% that's ignored is actually pretty generic. And when I'll give an example just from recipes, for example. You know, M&S, we have a big food business, and I often see recipes from other businesses, other retailers, and I go, that's a nice recipe. I'll just pick up the ingredients from M&S on my way home. You know, we are not the recipe charity of Great Britain. We are here to make sure that people want to turn left for M&S rather than turning right for any of our competitors. So what we do with recipes, for example, is we make sure there's at least one ingredient that you can only get from M&S. So that's just an example of compelling, engaging, and unique. But one of the first things that I did when I got to the business just over 7 years ago now is I looked for all of these stories across the whole organization that were truly unique. You know, M&S is the only national retailer who ... Which functions around the business could complete that sentence? And we got a list of all of these unique things. We tested them with customers, and we needed to find a way to tell all of these stories because we made sure that we were going to communicate the ones that customers found really engaging. So we created a new series called Farm to Food Hall with Tom Kerridge because, again, we tested with customers. You know, which celebrity chef do you love the most? And they all said Tom Kerridge. And in fact, ever since I've worked with Tom, I often say to him that when you mention Tom Kerridge to people, they always say the exact same phrase when you mention Tom Kerridge. And that phrase is, oh, I love Tom Kerridge. So he's a brilliant ambassador. He's been asked numerous times by numerous companies, and this is the first big commercial deal that he's done because he truly believes in the brand and in all of the sourcing stories that we were asking him to tell. But what we wanted to do with Farm to Food Hall is make it actually less like an ad and much more authentic. It's Tom visiting our suppliers, sort of documentary style, and having a really natural conversation about what makes M&S food compelling, engaging, and most importantly, unique. So we're just going to have a look at a couple of the Farm to Food Hall ads now.
I love British produce. I'm here in beautiful southern Spain on the hunt for a product that's only made in this part of the world, Iberico ham.
Nice to see you.
But this is not just Iberico ham. This is Bellota Iberico ham. Ruben, what makes these pigs so amazing?
Estos cerdos son tan especiales porque son cerdos ibéricos de bellota.
Okay, so the point of difference of Bellota Iberico ham you get from the acorns.
Solamente donde tenemos estos árboles. Comen cientos de kilos de bellotas, aproximadamente 10 kilos.
10 kilos a day?
Sí.
So of all the amazing Iberico hams, the Bellota ham, in my opinion, is the creme de la creme of Spanish cured meats. This farm supplies exclusively to M&S. Rich, tasty, nutty flavours, and it all comes from the acorns and the area that they feed in.
Sí, eres un especialista.
Okay, perfect. When do I start? Well, I thought I was in Spain. It turns out I'm in heaven. Look at this. Jamón Bellota Iberico that my new friend Ruben supplies exclusively to M&S. It's amazing, it's delicious. It's like sweet and salty, nutty, and the fat just dissolves.
La carne tiene que estar 30 meses de curación para así poder conseguir este fantástico sabor.
90 days eating acorns, 3 weeks in salt, then 30 months air drying. So from start to finish could be almost 4 years.
Tienen que estar andando continuamente para buscarse su comida, para que la grasa de esa bellota se infiltre en su carne.
That's how you get the marbling of the fat.
Y eso hace que la carne se cure más lentamente. Entonces, eso es lo que le produce ese sabor tan suave, tan sedoso.
And then as you slice it, it melts all the way through. So you actually don't have to come all the way to Spain to get it. You can just go to M&S.
Es único.
Unique. There we go, I've learned Spanish.
So with the Tom Kerridge Farm to Food Hall series, it's been going for years consistently, and we're consistently telling story after story after story about what makes M&S food unique. So that's on one of the messages, always looking for things that are compelling, engaging, and unique. But the other thing that we think about as well is the different channels to market. And how can we be sort of, a bit more bold and a bit less boring on the different channels to market. Now, of course, TV is the huge channel if you want to get massive reach. But one of the things that we have really been leaning into much more over the last few years at M&S Food is advertising-funded programming. And we use that to help get some of these sort of deeper messages across. And the first one I'm going to talk about is Cooking with the Stars. Cooking with the Stars is the most successful advertising-funded programme in UK history. It's the #1 cooking show on the biggest channel in the country on ITV. And the reason that we wanted to develop Cooking with the Stars, because we own 50% of the IP of this show, is because people love M&S food, but they loved us for our freshly prepared meals. But when it came to cooking from scratch, they weren't always aware of the breadth of the range. So we said, well, let's have a cooking show where we make it very clear that all the products from that show, all the ingredients that go into all the fantastic recipes are all from M&S. Millions of people watch the show. We've just filmed the 5th season of it, actually. And we carefully track all the people who watch the show. And their perceptions, once they've watched the series, really change in terms of seeing M&S as a place to go when they're doing that broader shop, when they're cooking from scratch. So it's been really, really successful for us. Now, we prepared a teaser for one of the series a few years ago. So I'll play that just in case you're not one of the people that have watched it.
Sure, my agent said. Look at me, I'm cooking.
Concentrate.
You're not the police.
If it's smoking, it's burning.
You're not the
Put oil in this and stop.
Medic! I can't watch it.
This is not nice. This is outstanding.
Said I wouldn't cry.
I can now reveal the winner.
And Cooking with the Stars champion is
Harry John.
just finished filming this season that's going to be coming on air this summer. And actually, it's already been commissioned for next year because ITV already know that this is such a big show for them and for us. But we're not happy just having one advertising funded program in M&S Food. We actually have two. And I've worked all over the world, and I've never seen advertising become programming before. And the Tom Kerridge Farm to Food Hall series, the advertising series, has become so successful, it actually now has changed into programming. And last year we launched a new 6-part series of proper TV shows, Tom Kerridge Cooks Britain. And in Tom Kerridge Cooks Britain, he was just going up and down all of the M&S suppliers in the country and really sort of delving into the stories behind the food. This year, it's Tom Kerridge Cooks Spain, and he's visiting a lot of our Spanish suppliers. And again, I'm not going to reveal the country, but it's already been commissioned for next year for the 3rd series too. And one of the brilliant things about advertising-funded programming is you very much work in collaboration with the broadcaster about the key messages that we want to communicate. And of course, we get lots of mentions during the show, during the actual show itself, but also you can use the idents to really land your message. And we wanted it to be very, very clear, as well as having all the mentions in the show, that all of the products and all of the suppliers that you're seeing in all of the episodes are all M&S. So we're just going to quickly play a couple of the idents so you can see how we communicated that.
M&S Food sponsors Tom Kerridge Cooks Britain. There's Tom Kerridge as he cooks M&S food in Britain. M&S Piccolo tomatoes sponsor Tom Kerridge Cooks Britain. Says Tom Kerridge as he cooks with M&S Piccolo tomatoes in Britain.
So that's just a couple of examples. And of course, on the fashion side of the business, we have the brilliant series Dress the Nation too. And that's coming back for a 2nd season on ITV too. So advertising-funded program is definitely a channel that hasn't really been utilised by many brands in the UK, and it's been really, really successful for us at M&S. I am seeing more brands even in other sectors starting to use it. In fact, I think I read something on LinkedIn the other day that the brilliant marketing team at Jet2 Holidays have got a new series called The Greatest Escaper. So I will definitely be watching that. So we've talked about making sure the messages are compelling, engaging, and most importantly, unique. We've talked a little bit about considering some other, perhaps more non-traditional channels for communicating your message. But one of the other things that we talk about a lot at M&S Food is consistency. Now, the great thing about working in marketing is that we're all a very creative bunch with lots of new ideas all the time. One of the most challenging things about working in marketing is that we're all a very creative bunch with lots of new ideas all the time. And often what you find with marketing teams is that they are excited and ready to move on to the next thing before consumers have actually got used to what you've already been talking about. You know, when I got this job at the beginning of 2018, so many people were contacting me saying, oh, not just any job. And I was even introduced onto the stage today, not just any marketing director. But when I got to the business, I discovered that we had actually not been using the line, this is not just food, this is M&S food, for about 10 years. And it's such an iconic line. So the very first thing that I did, probably in the middle of week 1 in the business, is bring back that line, because it's such a powerful line. And having some creative, some brand assets that are recognizable for you will help to make sure that you never go into that 87% that's ignored, because you want to be remembered, but also you want to make sure that your communications is correctly attributed to your brand. So whether that's our music, whether that's our advertising line, this is not just food, brand consistency is really, really important. And there's some other brands in other sectors have done this brilliantly. So if I said to you, just do it, Which brand would that be for? Nike, of course. If I said, I'm loving it, McDonald's, brilliant. Finger licking good, KFC. Because you're worth it, L'Oreal. And then priceless, MasterCard. So there are some brilliant, brilliant examples. And it's about finding your line and then getting after it consistently. Because as I said, in marketing, often we get bored of things way before customers have actually had a chance to get used to them. And with our line, this is not just food, this is M&S food. Of course, we're talking about our incredible quality, but we also want to make sure that we communicate our incredible value. Now, I've worked all over the world, and I've seen so many different businesses in different sectors communicating value. We're the cheapest. No, we're the cheapest. Oh, but we're comparing our prices to this brand, but we're comparing our prices to that brand, and if this is not the cheapest, then we're going to refund the difference. And it's no wonder, really, that customers get very, very confused. So we wanted to make sure that when we communicated value, we did it in a way that was much more bold, but importantly, very, very ownable to us. And so we created, actually with Team Whippet, who I think are here actually, the Whippet team created this for us. So we created remarkable value. And the clue is in the name. In fact, the Marks name of Marks & Spencer is right there in the middle of it. So when you talk about remarkable value, it can only be Marks & Spencer. And what we say here is, this is not just value, this is M&S, remarkable value. And we wanted to find a way where we communicate the incredible value. Because people actually didn't realize the great value of our prices. They knew we had fantastic quality, but they actually weren't aware how fantastic the prices were and what great value they were getting from M&S too. So that's why we created Remarkable Value. We created it many years ago, and just like This Is Not Just Food, just like Farm to Food Hall, just like Cooking with the Stars, we just do the same every year, consistently communicating these key brand platforms. There's been lots of different ways that we communicate remarkable value, and very important that we communicate this in store, but let's just have a look at a couple of the different ways we've been communicating it in advertising too.
These are not just eggs, these are M&S eggs. Always 100% British, always free range, just 90p every day. And this is not just salmon. This is responsibly sourced M&S salmon, always Scottish, just £4 every day. We have hundreds of remarkable value food products, and over a third are Eat Well. Good for you and your budget. This is not just value. This is here to stay everyday remarkable value from M&S.
I'm passionate about three things: great tasting food, reducing waste, and helping people out at a time when we're all feeling it in our pockets. So I'm very excited to tell you about something I've been working on with M&S. It's my pocket-friendly, remarkable value meal planner. We've come up with a shopping list full of great value, quality ingredients with easy-to-follow recipes that will give you 5 delicious midweek meals for a family of 4, plus handy tips for any leftovers. And all prices are locked until the end of summer. So how about kicking off the week with my herby rice with charred chipotle chicken thighs? On Tuesday, you can enjoy roasted spiced cauliflower with slow-cooked onions. Just look at that. Wednesday, well, why not get yourself online, get yourself the M&S and Tom Kerridge's Remarkable Value Meal Planner, and get yourself a week of pocket-friendly, totally delicious meals for you and your family. Happy cooking.
Remarkable value and remarkable recipes. But also when we say this is not just food, this is M&S food, we need to demonstrate that when we say that, we really do mean it. It's not just an advertising tagline. And one of the things that's very important to us when we think about all of our brand platforms, because the way that we look at these is, what are our brand platforms that we're going to become really famous for and consistently get after them year after year after year? And one of the brand platforms for us is around Plan A and sustainability. And we want to make sure that we continue to lead the market in terms of customer perception around everything that we're doing on Plan A and sustainability. So to communicate this, of course we try and incorporate all of the sustainability messages into everything that we do with Tom Kerridge when he's visiting our suppliers. But we decided that we wanted to have a Plan A ambassador, someone that really embodies the spirit and is very famous for sustainability messaging, and it feels really authentic. So we spoke to Ben Fogle. You know, Ben was originally famous for spending a year living on a remote Scottish island in Castaway, but now he presents Countryfile. He's a fellow of the National Geographic Society. He's an ambassador for wildlife charities. He's very, very passionate about sustainability. And we've created a brand new series telling all of our Plan A messages with Ben Fogle. Let's have a look at one now.
This is perfectly good food. It really is far too good to waste. So it's going to people in the community who need it. As M&S Foods Plan A ambassador, I'm delighted that our partnership with Neighbourly is not only reducing food waste, but also helping people. We really do our best to keep waste to a minimum, but when we have a little extra, it's great to know it's being shared. In fact, we've donated the equivalent of 100 million meals. Now, those figures may be difficult to process, but the people that benefit are very, very real. Hello, Heidi. Thank you very much. How are you? I'm Ben. How important are the M&S Food donations?
The M&S Food donations are really important to us. We serve around 130 to 200 people every single day. We couldn't do that without these food donations from M&S. The food is very high quality, it's very nutritious, and it's really at the heart of what we do here. It's really helping a lot of people.
So, it's all about doing the right thing, ensuring surplus food is put to the best possible use. It really is a win-win arrangement. Not only are we tackling food waste, but we're also ensuring that delicious food reaches those in your community who really need it. After all, this isn't just food, this is M&S food.
So you can see, even all of these different parts of the brand, we're always very, very consistent with our advertising lines. Next thing I want to talk about is health. Now, M&S is very famous for, you know, the indulgent chocolate puddings, and, you know, we've got some incredible treats and amazing products, whether it's the Big Daddy bar or, you know, the brand new range of cookie desserts that we've just launched. But we also wanted to make sure that we were famous for our healthy ranges. People love our fresh produce. I mean, there's nothing like an M&S Red Diamond Strawberry or the Red Diamond Strawberry Sandwich, which some of you might have seen recently too. It's gone a little bit viral, that one. But health is really important to us. So again, we wanted to create a consistent brand platform around health. So we created our Eat Well, Play Well program. And Eat Well, Play Well, again, has been running consistently over a number of years, where we sponsor the Scotland, England, Northern Ireland and Welsh national football teams, all of the teams, the men's team, the women's team, the youth teams, all of the teams. And what we do is we film regularly with them, and we get them to taste a selection of M&S Eat Well products and pick a favourite. And again, very, very authentic. But one of the things that we wanted to do under our Eat Well banner, and you know, my background before retail is in FMCG, I used to work for Kraft Foods as a brand manager, is we wanted to launch a gut shot, because we could see a trend in the market for more people really understanding the importance of gut health. And we thought, well, how do we do this in a way that really cuts through? Because lots of people have gut shots. How do we make sure that the product is, of course, delicious, but we need something that makes sure that when we launch it, you know, and in the spirit of the theme today, it's definitely done in a non-boring way. So we approached Professor Tim Spector. He's the founder of Zoe, and he's very widely regarded as being the world's leading scientist for gut health. And we asked him to collaborate with us and to make sure that when we launch this gut shot, it truly is the world's best gut shot. And so we put Tim in the ads talking about the gut shot. And when we launched this product, it actually sold more than water in M&S food. Let's have a look what we did with Tim.
This luxurious shot contains over 5 billion live cultures from 14 different strains of friendly bacteria with a sumptuous serving of fibre. This is not just a gut shot. This is an M&S gut shot. Oh, hang on.
Actually, Dawn, this is not just an M&S gut shot. This is our ultimate M&S and Zoe gut shot, made with me, Professor Tim Spector, and our team of scientists at Zoe.
Thank you, Tim Spector. Clever clogs.
Clever clogs, love Dawn. And then in January this year, the health trend that we really wanted to tap into was brain health. And our team had created this new snack product that was packed full of nutrients that support brain health. And we decided to call it the Brain Ball. In fact, weren't one of the founders have the surname Brain? We should have got you to help us. I saw that at the beginning. We should have got you to help us launch this too. So we called it the Brain Ball. And this is another example of really think about the name that you call your product. Because by calling it the Brain Ball, it's immediately a bit sort of non-boring, stands out a little bit more than sort of other products that could be, your healthy, nutritious, lunchtime snack product. No, this is the M&S Brain Ball. We launched it in January this year, and can you believe it? When we launched it, it sold more than water. Again. We did have a brilliant ad for that, but just in terms of the timing that we have today, we're not going to play that one too. My final point today is on social media and the power of it. And at M&S, we operate the biggest celebrity ambassador program in the country. You cannot move on Instagram or on TikTok for seeing celebrities up and down the country sharing their favorite M&S food products with their millions of followers. In fact, the combined following of our ambassadors is 50 million people. But again, just like we do with Tom Kerridge in the Farm to Food Hall series, and we want to make it very authentic and conversational, we never, ever, ever tell any of our celebrities what to pick. It has to be authentic. What we do, though, is every single month, we say to them, these are the new products that have launched this month. There's this new range, or there's this new, upgraded range of products. And we send them to them, or they come in, they taste them all, and they pick whichever one is genuinely their favorite, and then they talk about it to all of their followers. And when they get behind a product, the sales go up, and the products end up becoming very, very viral. And I think all of their audiences would know if it wasn't completely authentic. One of the biggest things that we do on social media, though, is store social media. And when we started this back at the beginning of COVID, no one else was really doing store social media. We were the first. And it happened because at the time, at the beginning of COVID, which seems like such a long time ago, and almost you sort of think, did we really all collectively go through that? But what customers said to us at that time is they said to us, look, the information that I really want from M&S is how long are the queues at my local store? Remember, everyone had to stand in a distance apart and we could only let a certain number of people in. And does my local store have a good stock of toilet rolls and pasta? And these were the main messages that customers wanted to hear. So it gave us a bit of a challenge in marketing. And I remember speaking to our brilliant CEO, Stuart Machin, and saying to him, and he's definitely a sort of very bold and very customer-focused leader, and saying to him, I think we're going to have to do something different here. He and I together decided that we were going to ask every store to set up their own social media accounts. And we asked them to tell all of their customers to follow them on their local social media accounts. And this has been unbelievably successful for us. Now, in the beginning, it was quite prescriptive, because in the beginning we said, look, on your local Facebook or your local TikTok, talk about when you've just had your big deliveries in of pasta or toilet rolls. Perhaps communicate with customers. These are the quieter times to shop when the queues will be less. But actually, it's gone from being something quite prescriptive in the beginning to now, a bit like we do with our celebrities, we just tell the stores what new ranges have we got across the whole business, across fashion, across home, across beauty, across financial services, across food, across charity initiatives. We talk about all of these things and we just say, these are the sort of the broad themes that we want you to get behind this week. And we leave the creativity 100% up to them. And at the time, some people said to me, I remember speaking about this at a conference, and they said, but Sharry, how could you trust the stores to run their own social media accounts? And I said, well, we trust them every single day to speak to customers face to face. And this is just a new way of communicating with customers. Store social media reaches millions of people every single week for M&S. And it's really successful in helping us make things go very, very viral, very, very quickly. When you have hundreds of accounts followed by local customers who see local colleagues talking about things that they like. And one of the most powerful forms of marketing is, in fact, word of mouth. You know, while you're sat here today, if your friend messaged you to say, hey, there's a new series on Netflix, you're going to love it, you would be much more likely to check out that new series than if you just saw an ad for a new series on Netflix as you were scrolling through Instagram, because people believe people like themselves. And our colleagues live in the same communities as our customers. In fact, they know many of them by name. So when local customers see local people who look like themselves saying, this is brilliant, I love this product, then it's a much more believable message. I think we've got a brief video on some of the things our stores get up to. So brilliant work there from the stores on social media. What I've really covered today is all of the unique and ownable brand platforms that we've been busy creating at M&S Food. You know, when I joined at the beginning of 2018, remember we hadn't been using This Is Not Just Food for 10 years. And what we've been busy doing over that time is consistently building these ownable brand platforms. And they have been working for us. You know, we've been consistently posting strong results. We are the #1 most loved and trusted brand in Britain, and that's of any brands, not just of retail brands, the #1 brand. Our quality perception and our leadership on quality is the highest it has ever been, and our lead above the rest of the market. Our value perception is the highest it's ever been. We are #1 for health, as well as remaining famous for these indulgent treats too. So, as our CEO says, lots done, lots to do, and still lots of opportunity ahead. Now, there's so much more I could talk to you about, but we're out of time. You know, one of the things I could talk to you about is how authentic we are as a business and how much we truly do believe and live all of these values, is that every single year, a documentary crew from ITV follow us as we get ready for Christmas, because it's always Christmas at M&S, because there's always someone working on Christmas. And we let this documentary crew follow us in our meetings, with our suppliers, and the Inside M&S at Christmas documentary, which again will be back this year, is again watched by millions and millions of people. In fact, it's been one of the highlights of the ITV Christmas schedule. So, you know, while we've been sitting here, 0% of the population are sitting at home saying, I hope all of these people at MadFest are learning some stuff so they have some brilliant new ads that they can be populating. And so that's what we're up against. So we need to make sure everything we do, compelling, engaging, unique, and we're communicating it in a bold way and really think all of the different channels. So we're very lucky we get to work in this brilliant industry called marketing. I go to work every single day feeling very, very happy, but I want to just finish with a story about my granddad. So my granddad was a coal miner in Scotland, and he left the house every single day to go down into the pits of the earth and, you know, hack away in the coal mine pits. And he left the house every single day whistling. And I remember saying to him one day, Granddad, why are you always whistling when you're going to work? And he said, well, I have to go down the pits. He said, so I can either go down whistling or I can go down miserable. And he said, and which of the two is just think it's going to give me the better day? So if he can go down the pits every single day whistling, we can come into this brilliant industry that we know is marketing every single day whistling. I hope you found some of that useful by sharing the story just on the M&S food part of the business, and I hope some of it helps you to never end up with your business to be in the 87% that Dave Trott talks about that gets completely ignored. Thanks very much and enjoy the rest of the session.